Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Inain Forensic Classroom. If you have been following my recent videos, you know that we have been discussing some very important foundational concepts like how a forensic science laboratory works and why the chain of custody is so critical. Now, these topics may look basic, but they actually decide whether forensic evidence survives in court or not. Now, today, before we move into individual forensic subjects, I want to talk about something equally important: the legal framework of forensic science. So this video is not about how to process a crime scene. It's about the law and how forensic science fits inside the legal system. So let's talk about why forensic science needs law. Now, many students feel that law is only for lawyers and science is only for forensic experts. But the truth is, forensic science has no meaning outside the courtroom. Now, you may do perfect lab work, you may use the best instruments, or you may get very accurate results. But if your work does not follow the specific procedures laid down by the law, the court can simply reject it. Now, as a forensic expert, you must remember you do not work for the police, you do not work for the accused, or you do not work for the victim. The court. That is why understanding the law is not optional. It is a basic requirement for anyone studying or practicing forensic science. Let's look at the bigger picture. Let's look at the old criminal laws versus the new criminal laws. Earlier, India followed three main laws, which is the first is Indian Penal Code or IPC, which was enacted in 1860. Second is the Code of Criminal Procedure, CRPC, which was enacted in 1973. And third was Indian Evidence Act, which was enacted in 1872. Now, together, these three laws controlled what is crime, how a crime is investigated, and how evidence is evaluated in court. But on December 25th, 2023, everything changed. The President of India gave assent to three new laws that officially replaced these old pillars. Okay, the new pillars, which were effective from July 1, 2024. Now, IPC was replaced with BNS, which is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Then CRPC was replaced by BNSS, which is Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. And Indian Evidence Act was replaced with BSA, which is Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam. Now, why do these dates matter? Because of July 1, 2024, if a crime happened before this date, it is tried under the old laws, which is your IPC or CRPC. If it happened on or after July 1, 2024, it follows the new laws, which is your BNS, BNSS. So, as a forensic expert, you must know which law applies to the case file on your desk. Now let's understand the change between IPC and BNS. The IPC was written during the British era back in 1860. It mainly focused on defining crimes and punishments in a very rigid and old-fashioned manner. While IPC served the country for a long time, it did not fully reflect the modern crimes or changing social realities and technology-based offenses. So the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita or BNS, it aims to modernize the idea of crime and punishment. It also focused more on justice rather than punishment. It focused on victims' rights and serious crimes affecting society. Now, for forensic students, this means that crimes are now viewed in a broader context. Scientific evidence plays a more important role. Forensic findings are increasingly relied upon to establish facts. Now, BNS gives more importance to objective evidence, where forensic science becomes crucial. Next, we have the procedural side, which is your old CRPC, which is now Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, or BNSS. So the CRPC was often criticized for being too slow and not using enough technology. The new BNSS is a game changer for forensic science. Here is the most important part for you to remember, that under the BNSS, forensic investigation is now mandatory for crimes punishable by 7 years or more. Now, this is a huge step. It means that the law now requires a forensic scientist to visit the scene and collect the evidence for serious offenses. This increases the responsibility on our shoulders. The BNSS ensures that evidence is not just collected but documented and presented using modern scientific methods. It's no longer an option for the police, it is a legal necessity. Now comes the Indian Evidence Act versus Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam. Now comes the most important law for forensic science. So the old act was written where the evidence meant only physical objects or paper documents. So there was no clear concept of digital footprints or electronic records. So the new BSA is basically a 21st century law. It clearly recognizes scientific evidences and digital records like CCTV footage, mobile data, and cloud storage as primary evidence. Now, for both forensic and law students, this means that courts are now prepared to understand and rely on scientific and digital evidence, provided it is collected and handled legally. But how much proof does the court need? This is where we talk about burden of proof. So in criminal law, the prosecution must prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. This is a very high standard. If your forensic report is even slightly vague, it creates doubt. And the benefit of that doubt goes to the accused. Now, this brings us to the behavior of a forensic experts in court. Behavior of forensic expert in court. Now, when you stand in that witness box, your behavior matters as much as your knowledge. An expert should remain calm. The defense lawyer will try to challenge you. Please do not take it personally. Speak clearly. Your job is to explain complex science to judge who may not have a science background. Answer only what is asked. Never exaggerate your results. See, if you do not know the answer to a question, it's perfectly correct to say, I do not know, or that is beyond the scope of my examination. Guessing or overconfidence can permanently damage your credibility as an expert. Remember, the court values honesty more than your confidence. Now, why does all of this matter before we study advanced topics? Is because if you understand this legal foundation, you will understand why our laboratory procedures are so strict. You will understand why our reports must be worded so carefully. So forensic science is basically not about impressing people. It is about producing evidence that can survive cross-examination. So before we move into advanced forensic subjects on this channel, I wanted you to clearly understand this legal background. If you found this video useful, please do like, share and subscribe to Inain's Forensic Classroom. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.